Going on with this fro today, boy? All right. So, we're gonna go ahead and get started because don't want to waste time for those that tune into this later. Don't want you to be sitting here listening to my husband play video games and not really having any conversation. All right. So the conversation. Ooh, what is this? The conversation for tonight is negative self talk. This is a very important conversation and topic that is near and dear to my heart because I deal with this um, very much so. And this is one of the things that me and my therapist worked on a lot because, what up, girl? Because it was very important and one of those things that had to be addressed. Um, because if you have negative self talk, it can impact you and impact your life in a lot of different aspects. So, understanding what it is, what it means, how it impacts you is a very important thing to discuss. So, before I get started, also, I would just like to send a plug out um, to one of my dear friends' husband, who is an entrepreneur and has his own business, and he has his own website. I don't want to um, not say this correctly, but the name of his website and his business is called the No Hiatus Report. And this website basically is to provide you a lot of different motivations, right? So whether that's in your financial world, mental health, wellness, how to prepare yourself just for life in general, you can find a lot of great topics on the No Hiatus Report. So make sure you go find that website, start following it, and my boy Travis putting in a lot of work to build it to where he wants it to be. So August 31st, I will be a guest writer for the article where I'll be covering the same exact topic. So negative and positive aspects of self-talk. But tonight I'm strictly focusing on the negative side. And then probably after that article is released, then I will do a follow up and discuss the positive side because I don't want to give away too much tonight. That way, you have a reason to go check the article out. But without further ado, let's get into why we're here to discuss um, negative self-talk. But let's break down what self-talk is first, right? So self-talk is going to be the talk or thoughts that you have with yourself, whether positive or negative. Um, and this is going to be known as your inner voice, right? Um, or your self-conscious, as Jiminy Cricket would tell you, right? Um, This is what that is. The inner voice that tells you the good or bad about you or the things that are happening around you. So that's what self-talk is. But when we're talking about the negative self-talk, this is when your inner voice is focused on the bad things, and it's being overly critical of yourself, um, especially when it comes to like projects that you may be working on, or a goal or aspiration you may have in life. When you start finding yourself saying, oh, well, I would like to apply for that, or I would like to do this, but I'm not good enough, right? Or even when it comes to relationships or just your life in general, oh, I'll never have a boyfriend because I'm not pretty, or I'll never have the car I want because I'm not good enough and I don't deserve it. Like, or I'm not worthy of love. Like these kind of things are prime examples of negative self-talk, right? Um, and having this negative self-talk can start to wear on you, right? Because when you do this so often, number one, you start to believe it, right? You start to believe that these things are true, because why would I be thinking them and saying them if it's not? And in reality, it's really not true. But this is what you keep telling yourself because you don't think you are worthy of getting this promotion, or worthy of being in a relationship, or worthy of whatever. So you're going to continue to tell yourself these negative things when in actuality, none of it's true, and you're just blocking your own blessings, right? You're giving yourself a glass ceiling that doesn't exist. You're stopping yourself from reaching your full potential that's out there because you don't think you're good enough to deserve these things, when in actuality, you are probably beyond worthy, and probably already doing all the things it takes to get to that in your life, that goal, that aspiration, that financial goal, whatever it is. And you just are blocking yourself from getting there because you keep with this negative self-talk. um like I said, it can begin to wear on you, so it can cause you to start having self-esteem issues. It can cause you to go into a depression. A lot of people that deal with things like anxiety and depression is because of negative self-talk, is the prime reason that pushes you into that space. And you may not even realize you're in this space because you don't even realize you're doing it. There are some people out there who are doing negative self-talk all the time and don't even realize they're doing it, because it has become so natural to them that they do this all the time that they don't even realize they're doing it until someone else is like, hey, I realize that every time we're talking, you're always beating yourself up or being super critical of yourself. Why do you do that? And then the person may start to reflect and be like, damn, I didn't even realize I was doing that. I didn't even think about this. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where, unless somebody's telling you or pointing it out to you, you probably are sitting there not even paying attention to the fact that this is going on, or that you're doing this. Um, and like I said, an example of this would be like, why am I going to waste my time applying for this or for going after this when I know I'm not good enough or I'm not prepared enough? That's another one, right? Like, say you have a presentation you're supposed to give for something, and you're like, I know I'm about to go get up here and suck because I'm not prepared. And you were probably overly prepared for it. But you sitting here telling yourself, oh, this is going to be trash. I'm about to go up here and bomb this. And then you get up there and kill it. And everybody comes up to you afterwards and is like, that was amazing. Oh my God, I didn't know you could speak like that. And then in your head, you're like, why are they lying to me? Like, I know I didn't do good, because you're being critical of the things you may have, like, oh, I could have said this better. I could have did that better. I could have did this. But you really, in actuality, did an amazing job and killed it. But you're sitting here over criticizing yourself and what you did and how you could have done it better, versus relishing in that moment of you did something great. And now you're just like, no, that wasn't good. I could have did that better. And you probably did the best that you could have done, but in your head, you're like, no, I didn't do good at all. It sucked, blah, blah, blah. So I am notorious for these things, right? Especially in the career field that I just retired from. Like, you have to public speak all the time. And I am so critical of myself when I get up and give a presentation. When I'm done, I'm like, that was terrible. Like, oh my God. And then someone come and be like, dang, I didn't even know you could get up there and talk like that. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I didn't even I still to this day don't think I'm a good public speaker, but if you ask my husband, he will say the opposite. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. A lot of times I be up there winging it. You feel me? Like, just throwing to the wind and like, oh, we're gonna see what sticks. But you know, you gotta learn how to, number one, stop yourself from having these negative conversations with yourself, right? Because all you're doing is putting yourself potentially into a dark space by continuing to have this negative talk with yourself. Because now you're just like, well, how do I get to the next level? How can I do this when I'm not good enough to be at that level? What? You may be great and beyond that level, and you've stopped yourself from getting there all this time because you've been sitting here telling yourself you couldn't do it. When in actuality, you probably, and let me point out another example of this, because women, we are notorious for this, especially when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to applying for positions in companies or jobs. We will say, oh, this will say, hey, this is what the requirements are. These are the qualities we're looking for, or whatever. And then you will downplay your qualities and what you're capable of on that application. Do you know how many times women get passed over for job interviews because they've downplayed their capabilities and their qualities, when in actuality they probably are going to do better than their male counterparts? And it's just the reality. It's because we get in our own heads so much that we can't even realize we're doing it. You know how many times, especially in the last few months, like even when I applied for the job I'm at now, I was like, there's no way I'm getting this job. Number one, I've never done this job in my life. Um, Nor do I have the certification for this job or anything. But then when I went to the interview, they were like, oh, absolutely. Oh, we'd love to have you on the team. And I'm just like, nah, bruh. Like, how, Sway? Like, and and realistically, someone else looked at my resume and was like, "Oh, you should add this. You should do this." And I was like, "Bro, I ain't got time for that. Like, I don't have time to do all these changes you talking about doing. Send it to him like it is. If it ain't it, it ain't it." Because realistically, I wasn't in a rush to get into another career field because I just retired from the military. Like, I just wanted to take a break. So I didn't feel like doing all that extra work at that point, because I was like, if it is what it is, it's gonna be that, because I'm not doing all of that right now. And then after the interview, my friend happened to be sitting in the interview, and he walked me out and he was like, "Bro, you killed that." And I was like, I don't think so. He's like, "No, that was amazing. You did better than I did in the interview, and I had the job before you." He's like, "Yeah, my interview was nowhere near as." So then that led me to believe one or two things, all right? Because then the negative self talk started to creep in. Well, that means they'll hire anybody. Like, those were the things I was coming up with in my head. Why? Because once you get into that negative self talk space, it becomes so easy to continue to do it. And it's so hard to turn that switch off once you turn it on. But there has to be a way to do it, right? Because if you continue to allow it to happen, you can only cause the detriment to yourself. Like I said, self-esteem. It can start to cause you to have anxiety, depression. It can start to affect you in so many ways that you don't even realize, because it's just happening so frequently. Now, if this is happening like once in a blue moon, that's one thing. But if it's becoming a reoccurrence, like every day type of thing, this may be the time where you're like, maybe I need to work on this, because if I don't, I can see myself uh not being well and in a good place that I need to be, not only for myself, but for my family, my friends, or whatever. So you have to start evaluating, like, is this worth it? Like, is this something I need to fix? Or do I continue to just sit here and to deal with this struggle, right? Um, so some, like I said, some of the impacts can be your self-esteem, your overall mental health. Um, but there are definitely some ways that you can try to work on it. So there's a technique called the 3 C's. Now it's going to stand for catch it, change it, or catch it, check it, and change it. Right. So say you're saying something negative. When you catch yourself saying something, you start to ask yourself, what is making me feel like this? Like, what is the reason to why I'm feeling this way about myself and saying these negative things? So, and a prime example to show it, and I talk about this in the article, but a prime example of this is, say you were supposed to do something, right? Like, say my husband asked me to bring him lunch to work, and I forgot to bring him the lunch because I was so busy in the day. I didn't make it to bringing him the lunch because I completely forgot. Now in my head, I'm saying, dang, I'm a terrible wife because this I'm a terrible wife because I didn't take him his lunch. But if I think about it in that moment, when I catch myself saying these things, then I have to say, but what is making me feel like that? All because I forgot to take him his lunch. I'm a terrible wife. That's a reason. And then when it means check it, you start to say, well, is this true? Am I really a terrible wife because I forgot his lunch? Is this a true statement? Is this real? Um, does it make me a bad person or a bad wife or bad anything because I forgot this? No, it doesn't make me a bad person. It just means I got busy and I forgot. Like, in reality, that's what it is. It has nothing to do with me as a person. It's not going to change or make me somebody different because I forgot. You know what I mean? So, and then the last part would be changing it. So, what is something that is true and can be helpful in that moment to make me realize what I'm saying is not true, right? So now I've caught that I'm saying these things, right? But what's making me feel that way? And now I'm checking it to fact check it, basically, to say, is this real or not? And then now that I know, because I fact checked it, it's not real. Now I got to change my way of thinking, right? So I can't be like, oh yeah, I'm the worst wife ever because I forgot his lunch. No, I am not good in this moment for me to think like that. But what it actuality is, hey, I made a mistake. I got busy. I didn't do what I was supposed to take him his lunch. But that doesn't make me a bad person or a bad wife. It just means I messed up and I forgot. Right. So you have to change your thought process or your mindset of how you approach things. You have to find the positive in every situation versus looking at it negatively, giving yourself a negative critique and only focusing on the negative aspect of things, right? Because there's always going to be a positive aspect. Hey, I forgot to get you your lunch when I was supposed to, but guess what? I'm still going to bring you lunch. I'm just late bringing it to you, and I'll bring you something additional on top of it, whatever the case is. Or I'm going to take you to dinner because I forgot your lunch. That's my bad. Whatever. You just got to find another way, right? You can't find the negative in everything that you're doing, or the things that you want to do, or the goals or aspirations that you have, because like I said, it's only going to beat you down if you continue to do that. So we talked about the 3 C's. So another thing you can think about when it comes to how to correct this, like I said, besides finding a positive aspect of something, um, this is what I did. So, especially when I was talking to my therapist a lot about this, and I found myself doing this so often, I challenged myself to writing positive attributes about myself for 30 days. And not only did I do this for 30 days, but I also posted it on social media. That way it held me accountable. That way I had to actually do it and to stay true to it. Because if I was just writing it in a book at home, number one, nobody knows I'm doing it to hold me accountable. It's just me doing it. So it's very easy to talk myself out of it and to say, I'm not going to do it anymore. But if I post it on social media and say, hey guys, I'm challenging myself to this. This is why I'm doing it. This is what it's for. You can join me in this challenge. Um, and then you challenge yourself to do it. Now you have other people that know you're doing this challenge, and they're going to be like, hey, I didn't see your post about your positive attributes today. Where is it? What's going on? You gonna post that still? And believe me, when I was doing this, I had people calling me out. Just like for those of you that follow me on other social media platforms, I try to, but it's been hard lately keeping up with my knowledge drops of the day. But I try to do those as often as possible. And when I'm not doing those, I get it. Hey, Cyn, I ain't seen them knowledge drops. What we got going on? You ain't even post a quote of the day or nothing. Like, what we doing, fam? Like, oh yeah, my bad. I'm gonna get to that. So if you post it on social media, your friends, if they care, they're gonna hold you down and be like, hey, don't forget your positive attributes today, or your positive inspiration or motivation for yourself for the day. However you want to challenge yourself, but challenge yourself to say something nice about yourself for at least 30 days. That would be one of the things I would say to start you in the right direction of trying to get out of this habit of having the negative self-talk, or for some people self-speak, because I've said that a lot too. um Lastly, uh it's all about who you surround yourself with, right? So if you are around people that are always negative and always uh seeing the negative aspect on life or in life themselves, then it's gonna rub off on you. Like, it's just like if you see someone smiling, normally you might smile too, because why? Smiles are contagious. So when you see someone else smile, you tend to smile back, unless you're just a butthead, and then maybe you don't. But uh, when you smile, others smile. So find a reason to smile, make yourself smile, motivate yourself, find positive people to be around so that they can motivate you to continue to be positive. Um, and that's really the end of our discussion for tonight. That's all I want to do, is something quick to start trying to get back into the routine of doing this. I appreciate the people that did tune in. Um, we're going to try and keep this going as often as possible. I'm not going to lie and tell you we're doing this every week, because I'm not going to be able to keep up with that right now. My work is busy right now. It's real busy. But I do want to try and do this like every other week if possible, or once a month. But make sure you drop in your topics of what you want us to discuss next time on Talks with Cyn City. I appreciate y'all. Love, peace, fish grease. I'm out.